What's going on, everybody? Welcome in on a Monday night to the Sports Arena. Hold up, I need a little light in this place here. Hold on, there we go. Woo! What's up, y'all? Man, Eric Wilson in the building. Man, we got a great show for you tonight. Let me go ahead and get the crew in here. Let me get my co-host in here. My man, sports reporter without pay, Ray Lynn, is in the building. Good evening, sir.
What up, bro? We in here, man. We out here, bro. We ready.
I know. How you feeling? Everything good? Everything good?
I'm good, bro. I'm excited. I'm ready to talk to sports, though.
Oh, I know, especially with the brother who's our special guest tonight. But before we get to him, you know, we got to bring the mouth in the building. Mr. John Shears in the house. John, just want to say first and foremost, I am thankful you are not wearing that damn Oreo shirt. Okay.
I mean, I wore this
came on here
orange
tonight.
Shirt.
I don't care if it's orange.
Shirt, you know.
I don't care if it's orange, but if you'd have came in here tonight,
somebody
with that
laughed
damn
at
Oreo
me
shirt,
about the Orioles last week, and we're on an 8-game win streak. So take that.
It's July,
8-game win
John.
streak.
It's July, John. I ain't worried about you. Anyhow, we got a special guest in the building. Had the pleasure of hanging out with this brother at the Black Sport Business Symposium. This brother, I guess he needed 5 other brothers to look at him and say, man, you are too talented not to be doing your own thing. So what does he do? He goes back home, creates his own show, the Halftime Show. Our special guest is in the building with us. The one and only Courtland Griffin is in the house, brother. What's up, man?
Man, what's good, man? I'm here. I'm excited, man. Finally on the Sports Arena. I ain't in the comment section no more.
Bro be in the comments for real too.
He does, man. Hey, much love, man. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us tonight. So,
I appreciate letting me come on, man.
So let's get to it, fellas. And shout out to my man Ray Lynn for hooking us up tonight with the script and what we're gonna talk about. So let's start with first and foremost some of these NBA free agencies and these contracts that are going on. And let's start with one, Mr. Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal got a 5-year contract, $251 million. Let me sit on that for a second, because of course my first question straight out the gate is, do we truly feel this brother is worth the amount of money that he was given by the Washington Wizards? I mean, John, you close to the area. I thought Dan Snyder was the only guy in the state of Maryland, Baltimore, D.C. area throwing out money, like just giving it to people. But apparently I was wrong. So I'm going to start with you first. Actually, no, scratch that. We go into our special guest from the Halftime Show. Courtland, man, talk to me about this, because is Bradley Beal worth that money?
I mean, when I look at a player like Bradley Beal, is he do I put him in the same conversation with guys like Steph Curry, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jimmy Butler, those kind of max type players? You know what I'm saying? Like when you throw them into the name like the Kawhi Leonards, no, right? Like we're not going to say that he's a franchise changer. You know, he's not really done much in Washington as far as pushing them to the playoffs outside of, I think, the 1 year where it was him and John Wall and they were pretty much tearing through the league. And then, of course, he got hurt and Russ took him, I think, like pushed him to the playoffs second half of the season. But when I look at, just kind of like I look at the next guy we're going to talk about tonight, he's that guy in Washington. Like, he's not the guy that you look at and you say, like, he's going to, like, if I let him walk somewhere else, yeah, he's probably going to be a 1B or a solid number 2 and win a championship team, right? Or a contending team, right? So you don't want to let that kind of guy walk out the door. So when I look at him, is he worth the $251 million in terms of and in context of where he is in Washington? Yes. But when I put him in comparison to those other guys that I named, like I said, the upper echelon guys like the Giannis's of the world, the LeBron James of the world, I can't say that he's worth that kind of money when compared to those guys. But for what he is in the Washington Wizards franchise and what he's been that solid rock for that franchise, then yeah, I would have paid him too.
Okay. And let me go to Ray Lynn on this one. Ray Lynn, I'm looking. With the exception of 2018 and 2017, this brother has not played a full season. Okay. He played 57 games in 2019. Again, COVID year, I understand 2020. He only played 60 games. He only played 40 games in 2021. And this is, we go back to that question of why are we rewarding mediocrity with greatness, man? Because I just don't see it. I really don't. He's about an average for his career, a 45% shooter, 37% from threes. He's averaging only about 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. This is the kind of metrics that we're using and the data that we're getting to be able to say, we're going to hand you 5 years, $251 million. Really? Raylene, talk to me.
Man, look. Like, so my response to Bradley Beal's contract is twofold, right? For people that's out there going, Bradley Beal don't want to win. Well, why should he? From Bradley Beal's standpoint, right? You put in this work, you practice, you try to be good, you work hard. And like any of us do, like I have these regular everyday life conversations with people about parenting. The goal of parenting is to provide a better life for your kids and your family than your parents did you, right? You just want your kids to have a good life. So from that aspect, as a professional in the realm that he's in, bro, go get your money. Everything they gonna offer you, take it. So I'm not mad at Bradley Beal for taking a contract. They offered you 250 M's, you take that in a heartbeat. Joker's going, oh, he ain't trying to win. If Bradley Beal won a championship tomorrow, it wouldn't affect his legacy. He's never going to be remembered as one of the greats. Like a championship at this point in his career doesn't change that. He's never been one of the greats. So as far as him taking the money, bro, get your money. Now, as far as Washington, why they paid it to him, it will never make sense to me. Because if you have, like Cortland talked about, you have your marquee players, the guys like Giannis, the guys like LeBron, KD, Steph, Luka Doncic, a Jokic, a Embiid, a guy that you go, I'm going to put this guy as the centerpiece of my franchise, and we're going to build around him, and we're going to try to build a championship culture here. Well, Bradley Beal's not that guy. So then you go, why else would a team pay a guy that much money? Maybe he can put butts in seats. Who's dead last in attendance in the NBA? The Wizards. So, like, he's not putting butts in seats. They ain't selling a bunch of merchandise. You don't see him on commercials. He's not great at marketing. I don't see in what realm Bradley Beal, from a front office perspective, you sit down and have a meeting and go, this guy's worth $250 million. I don't get it in no kind of way. They ain't winning games. He's not a superstar. He's not box office. He's not putting butts in the seats. He does nothing for your franchise but keep you good enough to not be bad enough to get a top pick. Like, that's what you're going to be with Bradley Beal as your best player. You're going to be mediocre. You're going to be middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference, right? If you do make the playoffs, it'll be like 2 years ago with Russ where they made the play-in AC area. You're not going to be good enough to contend with those top teams in the East. You ain't going to be horrible enough like Orlando to get a top pick. So you're stuck in mediocrity forever with this guy's your best player. I don't get it from this.
So can I pose an argument here, right? So just because I agree with everything. I agree with everything Ray just said.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
Yeah. So no. I agree with everything that Ray just said. But when we look at 2016, right, from 2016 to recently, right, the man hasn't scored average under 22 points in a year. Now, I can't disagree with what he said. What Eric said, he's had the injury bug. He hasn't played a full season. But when you look at what this man is doing on the scoring end, what he's done is he set himself up to be one of the more attractive trade pieces, right? Because you get a team that's like, we need a solid number 2 that can score the ball and put it in the bucket. Are we going to sit here and argue that Bradley Beal can't do that? Are we going to argue that Bradley Beal can't get you a bucket when you need a bucket? Because he can do that. So, like, when we look at you, if you're a team that's now trading for Bradley Beal, you know that now. I mean, and I know he has the no trade clause, so he has to want to go there and waive the no trade clause in his contract now. And I think he has a true no trade clause. Like,
it's a full no trade. Yep.
Yeah, like he can't be traded. Yep. So like he has to completely go in and waive that for him to be traded. But let's just say a team comes knocking that's a true contender in the NBA, and they say, Bradley Beal, we want you. And Bradley Beal is like, okay, I ain't getting it done here. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna never win a championship here in Washington. So why not go to that team? Now he's attractive because now he's there for the next 5 years or 4 years. Let's say he plays out this year. He's there for 4 years now. So you get Bradley Beal, who's only what? Like Bradley's only what? He just turned 30?
He's 28.
I believe
28. Okay, so he's 28. So he's a year
28.
younger than me. Okay, so he's a year younger than me, and I can still get out there and run. So like I know Bradley Beal is in top tier shape, right? So that man still has at least 7 years of his career left.
Bradley Beal is the girl at the bar you have to squint at whenever you've been drinking. You have to be like, you squint enough, she'll look attractive. But you gotta squint hard enough to make her look attractive. If you don't, then she's not gonna look at it. But you're like, you talk yourself into her. You talk yourself into being like a 6.5, maybe a 7 if you squint hard enough.
But John, you saying that when 2 of the last 3 years the man has averaged 30 plus.
Okay, what else does he do? Does he rebound? No. Does he assist?
Did I say
No.
that though? But John, did I say that?
Well,
I said
no, he's
you're
a
gonna,
poor man's James Harden.
you're gonna trade for him.
Congratulations.
Here we go with the
wait,
James
yo,
Poor
Harden.
man
Here we go.
James
That at all.
Harden.
Here we
No,
go.
he
Here we
not
go.
a poor man James Harden. He not a average man James Harden. He not a wealthy James. He's
Hey,
not in
Eric,
the
it's
same
been good being on the show with
stratosphere
y'all,
as
man.
James Harden.
We 11 minutes in and John already kicked somebody. John already got someone to say, I'm out.
Look, man.
Wow.
Look,
So listen. Hey, so in response to Cortland, right? He actually just made himself less attractive, right? Because so you look at what's the biggest problem the Lakers face right now is the team is constructed poorly, and then you got 3 massive contracts, right? And the biggest problem, the guy they want to unload is Russ, but nobody don't want to take that contract, even though it's going to be an expiring deal.
Russ though is Russ is nowhere near the player. He's nowhere near the player that people thought he was going to be coming from Washington.
But my point is the Lakers got so much money tied up in salaries, is what I'm saying, right?
Right. Okay.
So Bradley Beal just signed a $250 million contract.
Mhm.
That kind of contract is reserved for your star player, your superstar, your best player. For Bradley Beal to go to a contender and be a number 2, that means there's going to be another guy in place with the same massive kind of contract. Who can afford to pay their second or number? Honestly, I think Bradley Beal would be best served as a number 3 guy, if you want to be honest, right? Like if he went to a place like LA and you got LeBron and AD, that would work. If you went to a place like Golden State, right, where he could play Clay's role.
2 years ago. I thought that 2 years ago.
But what I'm saying is signing this $250 million superstar number 1 type deal, where he gonna go? Where he not the highest paid guy, and it be like, you know what I'm saying? He would have to go somewhere with a Giannis or a Jokic or Embiid to be the number 2, and all these guys got massive deals as well. So he just made himself less attractive because now you got to pay a guy to come be your number 2, number 3, and he getting $250 million.
But I mean, so understand when I say a number 2, right? I don't mean a real number 2. Like I don't mean a guy who's going to be like the true, like he's going to take a back seat, because that's not
Okay, hold on.
Deal.
Time out. You can't say that,
I'm sorry,
Portland, because you talking about, hold on, let me just do this with you now. Because you can't in one breath say he a number 2 and then say I don't consider him to be a number 2. You
okay,
either
so
are
here's what I'm
number
saying,
2,
Eric. So
you either
here's
are
what I'm
Rob or you not.
So here's the thing. So here's what I mean, Eric. We've seen the dynamic. This is not the 90s where you had number 2 guys that were legit number 2 guys that just played a role on a team, right? This is not Scottie Pippen days where it was Jordan, he was the clear-cut centerpiece. Then you got Pippen over here who fills in the holes, right? Like in today's NBA, you got 2 guys that can go do it all. Look at the last couple of championship teams. You got some guys that have stepped up that can do pretty much and feel like pretty much fill out the roles of the team, right? This year's champion. You look at the Golden State Warriors. No one saw Andrew Wiggins becoming this, but like Andrew Wiggins pretty much came in and was the rebounder, defender, you know what I'm saying? Like, and can get you a bucket. Then you have, of course, you had Steph. Then, you know, the team that they beat with Boston, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, like those are interchangeable guys, right? So like when I say with Bradley Beal, I'm looking at Bradley Beal like, yeah, you're going to be for all sakes and purposes, the number 2 option. But you're going to come in and be expected. If they trade for you, you're going to go in there and be expected, if you're Bradley Beal, to do what you are doing, which is when you are healthy and you are at the top of your game, you are a 25-plus point per game scorer. You're going to get me a bucket, a three when I need it. You can get me a bucket in the mid-range. You can attack the basket. You can be an intricate part of the offense. So that's what I mean by he's attractive in that aspect. Because when you look at these guys, you don't want to – it's the reason why people don't want Russ. Outside of the numbers, they don't want to just take – they don't want to take their $47 million and know, man, dang, I ain't getting this guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not getting this guy next year. With Bradley Beal at 28 years old and just coming off of 2 seasons, like I said, 2 of the last 3 years where he scored 30 and 31.2 points per game. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he played, I think, 60 games somewhere in there.
I have to ask you this. Do you think that part of that, maybe that's like the Kevin Love thing when he was on the Timberwolves, where it was like, yeah, he scored all the points, and then all of a sudden he went to the Cavs and he wasn't quite the same guy. Like once
again, look at the points.
You know what I mean? Like, of course he's going to score. He's shooting all the shots.
But John, what you're taking is you're taking a guy who was in Minnesota, who was a perennial bottom feeder, right?
Yeah, but there was,
and then
exactly.
Him on the
There's
team.
nobody else there.
No, listen. Kevin Love wasn't wasn't 28 years old when he joined the Cavs. He wasn't still in the prime of his career. Kevin Love was way past what he was going to be when he joined the Cavs. And then you joined the Cavs.
Maybe it's a bit of fool's gold.
John, where is he going to go where he's going to go join the LeBron James and Kyrie Irving? Where is he going to go?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe he's a bit of a
time
fool's
out. Wait,
gold where
stop. I can't do the misinformation thing. Kevin Love was 26 when he went to Cleveland.
Was he?
He was 26.
He was an old ass 26, man.
No, that's what happens.
But that's what I'm trying to say is like
that guy. Like
that's what I'm trying to say is if you're on a team where you're the only guy, of course you're going to score all.
But that ain't Bradley Beal though. Like Bradley Beal wasn't because Bradley Beal has done this. Hold on, Bradley Beal has done this outside of the year. Like I think what John Wall left that team win or was like hurt most of the years. Right, he was there. Bradley Beal turned around and like basically elevated himself. He was 17 points per game in 2015, 2016, 2017. He explodes and goes for 23, and the man ain't dipped below 22 cents. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we look at Bradley Beal, the man has elevated, and then, like, he's had injury. Like I said, I can't argue
but
with the
he hasn't
bug.
played a full season, though. And
right, Eric, I'm not
what
arguing with
saying.
the injury bug, but if you go, that's why I say if you send him to a team where he's not considered the lead guy, he's there for spot duty and to be your other guy, your other reliable bucket getter, then he's perfect in that role. But if he's going to go to your team, he doesn't need to do anything else, John. That's the point.
To be a two guard, he's a solid facilitator. To be a two guard, he can get you 5-6 dimes a game. I think he went over 6 twice, if I'm not mistaken. Right? I just two things that Cortland said that I want to address.
Cortland, he went over 6. He had 6.6 this year and 6.1.
Right.
6.1 in what was that 2019, 2020, where he also scored 30.5.
Right. But I just want to address this. Did you say the 90s, right? This isn't the 90s no more. In the 90s, and I totally agree with the point you was making, that in the 90s, you had like a clear superstar, and then like there was a guy that was a number 2, right? Like that's the point you're making. Like there was no,
it was Jordan who was your scorer. It was Jordan who was your clear-cut centerpiece scorer.
And then you had Scottie Pippen fielding all the rest of the spread. Right. And then you said, today is nothing like that. Look at the recent championships. You have Steph, and then Andrew Wiggins fields in all the holes. That's literally what you said.
No. I said you have two guys that cover everything. Like Steph, of course, like.
So wait a minute, time out.
So you're gonna say that LeBron James and Kyrie Irving, when they won the championship, LeBron James and Kyrie didn't cover everything?
You're telling me, like, if Jordan was the clear number 1 and Scotty's job was then to plug in the holes, is that not the same thing? Like, you're telling me Steph Curry's not the clear number 1, clear leader, superstar on that team, and everybody else is a notch below him and just fill in the holes?
So when I say that, understand what I mean, right? Jordan was the scorer. We know what Jordan was when we look at Jordan. He was the scorer, 30 points per game, all that good shit, right? Like, we know that. And then when you go and you bring in a guy, go look at those teams. You look at Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was your rebounder. He was your assist man. He was your primary perimeter
defender. I'm asking how is the Golden State Warriors any different?
Like outside of defense, Steph was giving you dimes. Steph has also had multiple games where he had double-digit rebounds. Like we're talking about a new era in basketball where Steph is actually not as bad as like. And I can't believe I'm really defending you, making me defend him. But like Steph was not just like this horrible.
No.
Like,
I'm strictly speaking on. I'm strictly speaking on because you was talking about Bradley Beal being the number 2, right? And then you talking about this kind of the idea you was describing was kind of a 1A 1B thing, right? And then you said in the 90s it was this way. We're like,
right. So I'm saying like
clear guy. Mike was the clear guy.
Right.
There's no 1B on Golden State. Let's not play those games. There's no 1B.
So we're gonna say that Bradley. Not say Bradley Beal. We're gonna say that Andrew Wiggins didn't look like a 1B this year.
No.
Here we go.
No. Never.
Here we go.
No.
Never.
This is game 6 of the NBA Finals. If you missed it, this is the encore presentation, ladies and gentlemen.
Come on, man. Like I guess I don't even like Andrew Wiggins like that. But for me,
you're prisoner of the moment.
When I watched the finals this year, and I saw what Andrew Wiggins was doing, I was like, he looks like a 1B right now. He was a clear second best player. He's the clear second best player.
So you realize we just watched the NBA Finals where a guy averaged 30 was the Finals MVP, and nobody else on this team averaged 18 or 19. You know that, right?
I mean, again, you're talking about averages. I'm saying in certain in how many of those
averages are like that's a real depiction of what happened, right?
I'm telling you.
I mean, but when we talk about this, like I said, when I look at Andrew Wiggins, he was guarding.
It's a great time for break.
Hold on, wait a minute. When we look at, and we can drop it after this, because when you look at Andrew Wiggins, right? You look at Andrew Wiggins in the finals this year, and this goes back to what I said. Like he was a bucket when you needed a bucket. He was a defender when you needed a defender. He was rebounding when you needed a rebound.
He was Scottie.
Like,
Pippen.
what are we talking about?
He was Scottie Pippen.
So
right?
so what is your point, Ray?
Was Scottie Pippen ever 1B? He was never 1B.
No, but
the Golden State Warriors don't have a 1B. It's Steph Curry, then it's everybody else. Let's not do this thing like Andrew Wiggins.
Okay, so just say I used a bad example, Ray.
That's a horrible example.
I know Steph is your guy. I know you're on the warpath right now.
Listen, if Steph wasn't my guy, right? If you used to say the 17, 18 Warriors, I'll give you that because then you have Steph and KD. Those guys are on even playing fields. Even if you go to 2020 Lakers, I don't care what you feel about LeBron. During that run, him and AD were on par with each other. 1A, 1B. Yeah, sure. Sometimes AD was the best player on the court. Sometimes it was LeBron. The early Miami Heat, LeBron and Wade was 1A, 1B. As they started winning, when they won their 2 chips, it was clearly LeBron, right? So there are plenty of examples of guys that
Kyrie
are 1A, 1B.
And LeBron were 1A, 1Bs.
No. It was LeBron and it was like LeBron and Kyrie was probably here, right? But your first example was these year's Golden State Warriors, and just the sports reporter out pay is not gonna ever let that fly. Like we're not gonna talk about Andrew Wiggins like he was even remotely.
I know Steph is your guy.
No, this is facts though. Like we not finna disrespect Steph like that. That's all
I didn't disrespect him. No, I did. Did I disrespect? Did I say he was bad?
You called Andrew Wiggins 1B.
Yes, actually you did. By saying that there was a 1B to Steph Curry, who is truly the clear, concise number one. Yes, that is putting disrespect on Steph Curry's name. It is very rare that I will completely just be like, Ray, tag me in on this one. But as someone who has seen what Steph has done and has watched the trajectory of the Golden State Warriors since he arrived to this point, Steph Curry is the true number one. There was that minor caveat, those 2 years, 17 and 18, where you could say there was a 1B in Kevin Durant. But outside of those 2 years, it has been Steph Curry, and then fill in wherever you want to. Whoever was hot that year, whether it be Clay, whether it be Draymond, whether it be Jordan, whether it be Andrew, whether it be Iggy, doesn't matter. There was always, a shadow of a doubt, unequivocally a number one in Golden State. His name is Steph Curry.
I'm not arguing that. Yeah, I'm not arguing that. I'm just so I used a bad example, and I
just tell me you apologize and we good, man.
I apologize. I used a bad example. Okay, so maybe I used a bad example. But
okay, what I'm saying save this one. Save it for next time, Cortland, because we got to take a real quick break. We're gonna come back, and guess what? We got time on our hands because that's who we're talking about next, Mr. Dame Lillard. More with the crew and our special guest from the halftime show, Cortland Griffin, when we come back. Welcome back into the Sports Arena on a Monday night. Our special guest from the halftime show, Cortland Griffin, is in the building alongside my co-host Ray Lynn and the man John Scheer. All right, let's keep it moving here, gentlemen. Let's go on to our next topic, which is Dame Lillard. And I need some help on this one because here is yet another contract that I just don't understand. Now, I get loyalty and I get creating something, but to me, as a man who I thought Dame was about them championships, with this contract still being in Portland, I have to believe that his time, very much like Bradley Beal, he's just about getting the money that he can get, that he is being given. 2 years, 121, 122 million, and you still in Portland. With really, what help do you have? So, Ray, I'm coming back to you on this one. Talk to me about this contract, please.
Here's a very weird fact, right? When you factor in the extension that Damian Lillard just signed, he's sitting at about 190 career earnings. You add on this 120, and it would catapult him to right around the top 5 in the history of the game, career earnings, right? It's LeBron, Kevin Garnett, Chris Paul, Kobe, and then it would be him adding the 120 he's getting. KD's right in that mix, so you add his next year. So he's going to be sitting in that 5-6 range with KD. Like, that's crazy. Damian Lillard, right? So my answer for Dame would be very similar to what I said about Bradley Beal. I'm never mad at the player. I'm never like, oh, that guy want to win. Like, I would only say that about a guy who is, you know, at the top of his game, MVP candidate. Like, if Embiid took like this massive contract and the team couldn't build, I say he don't want to win, because that's a guy who could play himself into top 20, top 15, like Giannis, like Joker. Like, Damian Lillard had that opportunity, and I think it's came and went, right? Like, we look back a few years ago, Portland had this great roster, top to bottom, him, Wes Matthews, Batum, Aldridge, and Lopez. Then he woke up one day, they was all gone, and he's kept his team afloat for years. They've never built the right supporting cast around him. I think he got like one Western Conference Finals appearance, and now he's on the wrong side of 30. So it's like, yeah, remember, he was a late bloomer. Dame Lillard was a 4-year college guy. So, like, his time is limited. Bro, go get your money. I'm not mad at him for
Rodgers
going to
fall
get
in
his
that
money.
category?
This
Like,
is
go
this
get
is
your money.
basketball,
Aaron Rodgers
not
fall in that
football.
category?
We're not talking
No,
football,
hey,
John.
No,
This
I
is
was just
basketball.
asking. He said an
John, that's the
MVP.
second-
John,
that's
took
the
too much
second
money.
time- John, that's the second time you done said something blasphemous.
That's just.
on
I'm
this
just
show, man.
asking. It's just a
That's what he
question.
does,
This-
Cortland. That's all he does.
The second time.
Is
man.
Dame Lillard one of the 3 greatest point guards to ever play this game? I don't think so, because Aaron Rodgers is one of the 3 greatest quarterbacks.
You
Anyway,
said MVP, too much money, and they can't afford other
He's
guys.
not an MVP. Dame's never been an MVP. What are we
I'm just
talking
saying.
so
going by what Raven
point
knows,
being
yes.
with Dame Lillard, I'm not mad at him getting his money, especially if Dame Lillard could have his team in contention every year, regardless of the roster around him, like that guy in Green Bay. Anyway, with Dame Lillard, I'm not mad at him getting his money. Same thing with Portland as Washington. I don't quite understand it. At some point, you got to, hit the glass, break in case of emergency, break this thing up, give Dame the opportunity to go play for a contender, right? We see a lot of Hall of Fame caliber, even borderline guys, like where it's just like it didn't work, so we're going to let you go. We saw it with Chris Paul with the Clippers, right? That thing ran its course, let him go, right? We saw it with Melo in New York. That's run its course, let it go. We saw it with Iverson in Philly. It's run its course, let him go, right? So Dame Lillard, I think it's time for them to at least allow him. But the thing is, Dame has now, like this kind of off topic, but I've always said Russell Westbrook made it so where you're going to remember me for something, right? I may not win no championships, but you're going to remember the guy that averaged a triple-double for 4 years, right? Dame Lillard is making it where we're going to remember him as the loyal guy, because he always talks about, oh, these guys teaming up. If I do it, I want to do it here. It won't feel the same. It ain't going to feel like nothing, because you're never going to win in Portland. So if you want to stay there and keep racking up checks, hey, bro, go get your money, all that crazy stuff. But as far as Portland, if they want to build a winning culture there, that ship has sailed. It's sailed. We said for years they needed to break up that duo of Dame and CJ, that small backcourt. Golden State kind of fooled the world into believing you could win, behind your backcourt, but people don't look at the rest of that roster and how it was constructed with all those long, versatile, athletic wings they had. And Portland could never get any, right? The best player they went and got was another undersized guard in Norman Powell, right? So, I don't understand what they're doing in Portland. They get rid of CJ McCollum, and there's really no big return on that. So now Dame signs a $120 million extension in the middle of what looks like it's going to have to be a rebuild. I don't understand the roster at all. And the West is loaded. There's a possibility with Dame Lillard healthy playing the whole season, they could still miss the playoffs. Yeah. You got Phoenix. You got Golden State. You got Memphis. You got Dallas ain't going nowhere. The Lakers supposed to be back strong and healthy. Like, the West
Clippers
ain't getting
supposed to
no
be
easier.
better now that they added John Wall. Hey, I'm just throwing it in there.
You're on a roll tonight.
You
Stop.
can say whatever you want.
Stop while
I'm
you're
sorry,
on.
y'all. That was a sneeze. That wasn't a laugh. That wasn't a laugh.
No,
That
it
was a
wasn't laugh.
sneeze,
Just
bro.
go and do what you got to do.
You know
That's
what's funny,
fine.
though?
You
It's
lost
funny.
It's time for Eric to apologize.
The Clippers,
Who?
Hey,
the Clippers hopes hinge on whether, Kawhi comes back healthy or not, right? If Kawhi's healthy, which is always an if with him, right? If Kawhi and Paul George are both healthy, because Ty Lue, I got to give him some credit. He be having them boys playing hard. They be winning way more games than they should for Kawhi to not play at all and for PG to not be playing. Like, they win games. And they went out and signed a lot of really good players last year. We talk about long athletic wings. The Clippers got a boatload of them. And you put Kawhi and PG in the middle of that, John Wall don't have to be John Wall from Washington. He just got to be an okay formidable point guard. He got to be what Kyle Lowry is now. Play hard, try and play a little bit of defense, right? He don't have to be 20 and 10 John Wall. So the problem with John Wall is none of us seen him play basketball in like 5 years now, I feel like. So
And
I don't know.
and
It's been
I-
about actually, it's been about equivalent to that. It's been about 3.5 seasons worth of basketball that he's missed with the
Yeah, right.
injuries and then the last 2 seasons.
But to
and
my
I,
point,
and I
though,
get
E,
all that.
I agree. The Clippers, if healthy, are going to be in that mix, which further extends my point that Portland not. So I don't know, like, I don't know if that was one of those loyalty things, kind of like a lot of people felt like Kobe shouldn't have took that massive contract on his way out. The Buzz family is kind of like, we're going to pay you for what you've done. But Dame ain't done in Portland what Kobe did in LA. They don't owe him nothing. They've been paying him. He's about to be top 5 all time. They done paid the man crazy money over his career. So I don't know what Portland is trying to do.
$491 million in career earnings at the end of this contract will put him at 3rd all time.
You said how many?
Damn.
491 million. I think it'll put him at like top 3.
It'll be 290. He's at 190 right now. And he signed for 120. So he'll be right at 3 something, right? The low 3.
Yeah, but I think he'll be like, I'm talking about. Like,
Oh, you know what? I'm not including this
491. That's what I'm saying. He'll be at 491.
Whatever it is,
Oh,
right?
John Share, man, jump in here on this, brother. Talk to me.
No, they got it going on. I mean, you're right. I'm looking at his stats. He's only averaging 2 points more than Bradley Beal in his career. About the same amount of rebounds. He's a better, 2.5 more assists per game. Shoots a lower percentage. Statistically, he's not much better than Bradley Beal, and we just knocked Bradley Beal. I mean, the only thing is, we've seen Dame show up in the playoffs a couple times. We've seen some big shots. Never saw anything from Bradley Beal in the short amount of playoffs or play-in, whatever you want to call it. Never saw it from Bradley Beal. That's really the only difference. Other than that, this is just a man. He's a great player, but this man out here robbing Portland because he ain't taking them nowhere.
Well, he's not really robbing
he ain't
Portland
taking
because
them
Portland
nowhere,
is the
man.
one. Listen,
Like
he
he
ain't
robbing this
Portland.
team.
Portland
Okay.
is the one saying to him, much like Washington is saying to Bradley Beal, "We're gonna give this to you. Do you want it? Well, let me look at the
Well, of
paper. Let me
course.
look at the
You'd be
contract. Okay,
stupid to
yeah, let me
say
sign right
no.
here. I'm gonna get my money."
Yeah, of
So,
course. And I
I
never
understand
knock
that.
somebody for their bag. No, of course not.
Here's why I disagree, John. Here's why I disagree,
Go ahead.
John. You said that. So, like at the beginning of the show, remember I said I wouldn't put Bradley Beal in that marquee group, right? For a while, Damian Lillard was kind of trying to insert his name in that marquee group because it was must-see TV when Damian Lillard hit the court. Like he was one of those guys where you said, "Okay, I gotta see this dude play basketball." Now, when we look at this contract extension, I'm going to say what everyone's been saying. He don't want to win, right? Like what Ray said, he's going to be remembered as a guy who never left. He's bought into the cliche media caveat of, hey, while all the other guys are leaving and going and player movement and KD is requesting trades and Kyrie's trying to find where he fit in and LeBron is on third team, number 3. But that guy Damian Lillard stayed up there in Portland, man.
I
He's loyal
respect
to
that.
he's loyal
Me
to the
too.
soil. You're loyal to the soil for a fault. For what?
Yeah.
What have you done in Portland? And better yet, it ain't what have you done for Portland because you've done a lot for Portland. You got a lot of primetime games for Portland. What has Portland done for you? They traded away your partner. Nurkic is consistently getting body bagged, right? He's one of the worst big men I've ever seen when it comes to playoffs. Like he plays way smaller than what his stature is. Like Damian Lillard has put Portland on his shoulders multiple times and then has done what? Said, I'm not leaving. I'm going to stay right here in Portland, Oregon and play for the Portland Trail Blazers and be Mr. Loyalty, right? I'm going to play my entire career in red, black, and white and and be this guy, right?
I'm all about loyalty. Eric.
My thing is
I'm a loyal guy, but at some point, like
Screw
today,
that's not the era you play in.
But this day and age, you're right. That's what I'm agreeing with you. Like old school sports is all about loyalty. Loyalty is no longer a thing in sports. Like guys can be loyal, but these teams aren't loyal to you. You got to go what's best and do what's best
No.
for
They're going to
you.
be as loyal to you as you are to them. No, I disagree with that.
That's not the way sports
because
work anymore.
hold on, John. I'm going to disagree with you there because here's the thing. You're never going to see teams do what they did back in the 80s and 90s. You're never going to see teams where you get a Larry Bird in the first round, you get a Magic Johnson in the first round, you got MVPs and guys who are great all-time players, right? Like Hall of Fame caliber players on that team. You're never going to see that happen again. You're never going to see a team with a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar then go and create and do a drug deal and get Magic Johnson to come join you. You're never going to see that again. So with Damian Lillard, understand, adapt to the times you play in, bro. You're
That's what I'm
60 years
saying.
too late. You're
That's what
60
I'm
years
saying.
too
Like
late.
loyalty is no longer a thing in sports. Like you got to do what's best for you. Whether
So
it's
Damian
your
Lillard
family,
bought into the
money,
sauce.
what's best for going, winning and all that stuff. You got to go and do that. You can no longer just say, "Well, I want to stick with one team." Like that era is dead. You
Yeah,
saw what happened. Hold on, you saw what happened with Barry Sanders. What that got him. You saw what happened with Calvin Johnson. Saw what that got him. You saw what happened with all these guys that try and be loyal. What does that get you? It gets you nothing.
Again, that was a different era. Barry Sanders hung it up before he was
Calvin Johnson. What happened to Calvin Johnson?
Calvin Johnson hung him up early, right?
If it
We
wasn't
can't
for
use
Matt
those two.
Stafford getting traded,
We don't talk
Hold on,
about the
John.
Lions on here.
That's what I'm saying. We can't use those two guys. We can't
Okay.
use those two
So
guys.
let me bring a situation in, and I'm gonna pull Ray in because it's something he said last week. So give me a second, gentlemen. So Ray, I want to talk to you about this because last week, right here on the Sports Arena, you had a very eloquent monologue talking about Steph Curry and how he has remained with one team, and look at what he's done. So my question, sir, to you is simply this: why has it worked for Steph Curry, but not worked for Damian Lillard?
So the fan in me wants to say because he's just better, right? Which I genuinely believe. The reality is, man, Bob Myers is a genius. Bob Myers is a genius. Like I go on these tangents talking about these long athletic wings. You look at the 2015 Warriors, right? That won that championship. Yes, Steph Curry's the driving force, but you have Clay, you have Harrison Barnes, you have Draymond Green, you have Iguodala off the bench, you have Livingston off the bench, you have Leandro Barbosa off the bench, and then you have agile big men like David West, and like that was their thing, right? They could go small, they could play, they could beat you in so many ways, right? Then when you just added KD, that was a cheat code, right? Like everybody they lost depth. It's like, so what? You got KD. So then KD leaves and everybody go, what are the Warriors going to do now? And they rebuilt the team exactly like 2015. Steph Curry at the helm and then a bunch of wings. Poole kind of feels the scoring role of what Clay may not have had coming off injury, right? But then Clay is still there. But now you have Wiggins and you still have Draymond and Otto Porter off the bench and Gary Payton II off the bench. Like they rebuilt the team the same way all over again with these long, athletic, versatile wings that can defend multiple positions. Draymond is a huge part of that, being able to play big and allow the team to play small, right? When the guy playing center, shout out to Nikola Jokic, is also your best passer, right? The Golden State Warriors can just do so much. And Steve Kerr coming in, people go look back, they always talk about Steph Curry's not a real point guard. Go look at the last season under Mark Jackson when he was top 5 in the league in assists. I tell people this all the time. He was averaging 24 points and 8.5 assists a game. Kerr comes in and goes, this guy the best shooter in the world. Let me maximize his skill set and take him off the ball some. Let me put him on some of these pin down screens. Let me run him around a la Reggie Miller, a la Rip Hamilton, a la Ray Allen. And it was just very successful. So, like, the team was built the right way. They haven't missed in the draft. And they keep hitting it in the draft. They nailed it with Steph. They nailed it with Clay. They nailed it with Draymond. Harrison Barnes was working. They won a championship. They get rid of Harrison Barnes. They turned Iggy back into a formidable player. People gave up on Otto Porter. They made it work, right? They nailed it with Wiseman. They nailed it with Kuminga. They nailed it with Moody. Their front office is phenomenal. That's why, and Portland's isn't. But the fan in me says it's just because Steph Curry's so great.
Hey, okay. You know why it worked? You know why it worked in Golden State and it didn't work? And it's because, like, and this is going back to what Ray was saying, right? That front office was genius. Because go look back when Monte Ellis, like, Golden State had to make a decision. Monte Ellis or Steph Curry getting traded. It was originally supposed to be a package for Steph Curry to go to Milwaukee, and they were going to get Andrew Bogut. Milwaukee told them, no, we don't want him because his ankles is bad. And that's not a knock on Steph. That was actually a saving grace for him because they ended up sending Monte Ellis to Milwaukee and getting Andrew Bogut. And then, of course, we see what happens after that, right? Like, that team goes on, and Steph Curry is now considered one of the best players to ever play the game, greatest shooter ever touch a ball. So, like, the reason it didn't work is Steph was willing to come off the ball. Damian Lillard ain't coming off the ball. Like, tell me a time where you've seen Damian Lillard come up the court and say, yeah, I'm cool with coming off a floppy action. No, because Portland ain't built like that. Like, Portland ain't never done that. Like, Steph, go look at Steph in 2015. A lot of his points came off the floppy action where they had the bigs are setting it on the block. Steph and Clay are down on the low block. They coming off of a pin down and coming out to the top of the elbow and catching the ball and shooting them, right? That's a floppy action. If you know basketball X's and O's, you know that. Tell me how many times Damian Lillard has done that in his career? None at all. He's an initiator. He's a ball. He's an on-ball guy, right? He's a ball-dominant guard. He can't go to a team where he's going to be the third option, right? I think that would have been better for him had they traded Damian Lillard when he was near the top of his game. I would say like mid of his career. I would say like around 2017, 2018 when he was that kind of valuable piece. But now, if you trade him, who's going to take now? Like Ray was talking about earlier, who's going to take that Damian Lillard 40 plus, 50 plus million? Who's going to take $61 million? Like I think this extension puts him at like the 50 mark. I think like he'll average out 50 a year. So who's taking that? Who's absorbing that contract for a guy who's on the wrong, like you said, wrong side of 30? And by the time you get him 33, 34, 35, 36 years old, not really a strong defender. You know what I'm saying? He's going to lose that lightning step. Like, what does he become after that? So it's one of those situations where he took the money. I mean, he's a better shooter. I can't give him that. He's a better shooter than Russell Westbrook ever was. But my thing is with Damian Lillard now, it's you're there in Portland for now the rest of your career. So you better make the most of it.
Okay. John Scheer, final word. No worries. John Scheer, final word, and we got to move on. Brother, we can't hear you. You might be muted.
Oh, my bad. He's overpaid. That's
okay.
He said overpaid. 61.
All right. He's overpaid. That's all John got to say. All right. So then let's move on to our next topic here on the Sports Arena. Again, shout out to Ray, Blue Hawk 13, my man John Scheer, and of course our special guest from the halftime show, Cortland Griffin. So the question still remains, gentlemen. Where is Kevin Durant going to play next season? I'm going to go around the clock here. I'm going to start with Ray, then John, and then our special guest, Cortland. I'm going to give each guy 30 seconds. I'm going to put y'all on the clock now. Tell me where you think KD is going to play next season. Ray, you up first.
If I was Sean Marks, he'd be right there in Brooklyn. You came over to Brooklyn. We gave you everything you asked for. You came over to team up with Kyrie. Kyrie is still here. You asked us to go get James Harden. We went and got James Harden. You want us to sign DeAndre Jordan. We signed him. You signed off on Nash. He's still here. And if I'm the Nets management, there's no way I don't see how this Ben Simmons thing pans out, right? You have no leverage. We got you locked in for the next 3-4 years. If I'm Brooklyn, we're going to run it back and see how this work out.
I think the asking price is just stupid. I mean, he's KD, I get it, but at his age, with his injury history, with that contract, I think 4 years left on that deal, their asking price is just stupid. So I think he stays in Brooklyn. The only other place I can see him going to is Miami. I don't want that, but that's the only other place I can honestly see. But because Pat Riley's all about winning, he wants to win now. But I think he stays in Brooklyn.
Hey, Kevin Durant, go ahead and set your trade request to the Shanghai Sharks. Now, I'm kidding. He's going to play in Brooklyn next year, man. Nobody giving them 5-6 picks and also the rest of their future. Nobody's mortgaging that for Kevin Durant, right? And if you do, you have to look at if you're that team, you're going to be a bottom feeder with Kevin Durant on your roster. So, no, like he's going to be in Brooklyn next year. Simple, but like we have to stop being pie in the sky and look at reality. And that's he's going to be playing in black and white at Barclays.
Wow, everybody just saying Brooklyn. And John Scheer to say, I don't want you in Miami.
No,
right there.
For the asking price.
Don't take the cheap route. Don't take the cheap route, sir. Hold on, where my thing at? Don't take the cheap route, sir. As a matter of fact, don't take the cheap route. Talk about it.
Oh, y'all listen, I don't really care where KD goes. I mean, I know there's talk of LA. I know there's talk of Miami. I know there's talk of Philadelphia. The bottom line is this. Kevin Durant, I have said this before and I'll say it again. Kevin Durant, in my opinion, just is not a leader. He needs someone to truly be that 1A so he can be Mr. 1B. In my opinion, it doesn't matter where KD goes because unless he has that supporting cast, he's not going to get another championship. If he goes back to Golden State and they pull it off, congratulations to them. So, all right. Gentlemen, we're going to take another break. Make sure I show everybody the list of all of our shows that we have a part of the Sideline Sports Network going from Sunday to Saturday, every single day of the week, every single night of the week, shall we say. From shows like Three Chicks in a Pod to the Pundits Pundit, all the way to the flagship show, Sideline Sports. We've got both sides of the coin. We got the Gary Stein and Stevens show. We've got the Raw Dog show. I mean, the list is on and on, but take a look for yourself and we'll be back in a moment.
It's the Rude Dog show.
Rude Dog. Thank you, John.
You call.
And welcome back into the sports arena. All right, gentlemen, we got about 10 minutes left with our special guest from the, I know, my bad. It is the Rude Dog show. My apologies. Sorry about that.
Because I was like, yo, that's a heck of a name right there.
Yeah. But our special guest from the halftime show, Cortland Griffin, is in the building. Hey, Cortland, man, while we got a minute, man, promote yourself. Let the people know where they can find you at, brother.
So yeah, man, just hey, y'all see the halftime show, man. Find me there Wednesdays and Thursdays. So it depends on scheduling, but it's normally between Wednesdays and Thursdays. Y'all can catch me on my new live show, the halftime show. Catch my writings and my articles on anything from NFL to the WNBA over on 3-point conversion. Also, follow me on Twitter, man, DC Griffey. All my hot takes, man. People trying to pack me up all the time on Twitter. They trying to get me up out of there. KD got me blocked. Yo, KD, unblock me, bro. Like it's not that serious. But yeah, man, find me over there. And of course, man, find me in the comment sections. All these good old shows, man. Like, well, I'm in there. I'm the honorary guest at any show.
That is a fact.
That is a true fact. All right, gentlemen, let's get to some Major League Baseball. John Scheer. Got the home run derby going on next Monday, but more importantly than that, we got the all-star snubs. Every year this happens. There are people who don't get in, who feel like they've been snubbed. They get their feelings hurt. So I'm going to come to you, John. Talk to me about the MLB with the all-star snubs, sir.
Oh, man. I mean, there's so many all-star snubs. I mean, you could start on the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, they only gave us one player.
Okay, no. When you start with the Baltimore Orioles, no, I'm not doing it with you, John. You had it last week, and now you're going to try and do it again. So you know what? I should have just started with our special guest from the halftime show, Cortland Griffin.
I thought my man lost connection.
No. John, see, what we love about John, let me get him back in here because I don't never want this man to say that I don't say nothing to his face. The thing about John is John just has some outrageous stuff that he talks about, but if you give John the floor, there are three things, in essence, John will always talk about. No matter what, he will find a way to work it in. It is, in fact, his Miami Dolphins, his Miami Heat, and his Baltimore Orioles. John will always find a way to incorporate those three teams into every single episode.
I don't even know how. John, are you from Baltimore? Because that's the only way you
close.
Or you a bird, or you an avid bird watcher, because ain't no way nobody watching the Orioles.
Oh,
but
man, they won 8 in a row. How many your team win in a row?
It don't matter. We on pace to be the greatest winning team in the history of the major. So we ain't gonna talk about that. So talk about these all-star stuffs, man. So first off, man, you gotta talk about a Yankee, of course. Anthony Rizzo, 22 home runs this year, 54 RBIs. Only thing that kept him out this year was the low batting average. We talk about another guy, JD Martinez, right? Used to be a power hitter. Now he's completely reinvented himself as a batting average guy. He has a heck of a slash line this year with 312, 380, and 486 this year.
Damn, that's good.
Yeah, like he should have been in. He's one guy that should have been in. And then Trevor Story, to me, like, I don't know how you snub this guy. 55 RBIs, 46 runs scored, 15 home runs, 10 stolen bases. The man has been nothing but great since he left Colorado and came over to Boston. So, like, when we look at those three guys, like, I think those three guys are the three most egregious snubs. And then I would have said Freddie Freeman, right? On the NL side, I would have said Freddie Freeman. Heck of a slash line this year, 304, 381, 494 this year, 54 RBIs. The only thing is he's on a very loaded position at first base in the NL, right? Like Cron and those guys over there, like it's hard to really like say like he deserved to be in over those guys. But if I had to give a snub on the NL side, it would be Freddie Freeman.
All right, Ray Lynn, John, we got about 6 minutes, and I got to get your home run derby pick. So, John, without the Orioles, talk to me about like 1 or 2 snubs, and then I'm gonna go right to Ray Lynn.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say Freddie Freeman as well. I mean, that was a guy that I definitely thought was going to get in. And, I guess it's because he's on such a great team that maybe they didn't want to put everybody from the Dodgers in. I mean, typically that happens whenever you're on a great team. They don't give you everybody. So that'd be my pick for a snub.
Ray Lynn?
Freddie Freeman was on my list as well, but Josh Bell too from the Nationals, another first baseman who's having a great season. But I will take this opportunity to just say how stupid I think it is that in Major League Baseball, they are just giving out participation trophies. It's the only sport where they say we got the All-Star game and you have to have representation from every team. No matter how bad your team sucks, no matter how bad the best player on your team is, we're going to put him in the All-Star game, which means now you could possibly be taking away a spot from a guy who's more deserving, right? Like, that's just dumb. That makes no sense to me. Like, if your team suck and you suck, you just don't get nobody in. But in Major League Baseball, they taking spots away by saying, hey, every team is going to at least have a representative. And I just think that's stupid. And that's how we wind up with so many snubs every year.
Just curious how Fernando Tatis has more votes than some of these guys, and he's played 0 games this year.
It's probably
because, like you said, when we talked about the W, when you said it's a popularity contest, what I'm very surprised is no one talked about the defending champ Atlanta Braves. I mean, listen, I don't talk about them because I can't stand them, but I cannot ignore what third baseman Austin Riley is doing. The dude's hitting the 282. He's got 23 dingers and 56 RBIs, and he's not in. Really? He's not in.
Again, okay. It goes back to what Ray said. In Major League Baseball, you got to have representation from every team, and unfortunately, like some guys are going to get knocked out because of saturated positions.
No, you're right. You're right about that. All right, gentlemen, really quick, we got about 3 minutes left here on the show, and again, Cortland Griffin, special guest from the halftime show. Make sure y'all check him out. So, John Scheer, who's your pick this year to win the home run derby?
I'm not going to pick him to win, but I'm going to give Albert Pujols a shout out. Because Albert Pujols is in the home run derby, and I think this is kind of cool that they're putting him in. He's not going to win it, but, I just want to shout out Albert Pujols being in it. So that's my dark horse, because I kind of want to see Albert Pujols win it.
All right. Cortland, who you got winning the home run derby?
Is this even a question? Pete Alonso. Like, it's simple. The dude is the defending champ. He's back in it this year. Ain't nobody that's hit it further that can hit it harder than him in this year's home run derby is Pete Alonso.
Really?
Like, I'm going to just talk about the 2 guys they just talked about. It would be pretty dope, right? Albert Pujols doesn't have to stand up there and see 90-mile-per-hour sliders. He don't have to see breaking balls and change-ups and knuckle. Like, it's just somebody lofting them, and he can hit them as hard and as far as anybody. So I wouldn't count him out. But again, I said this about when we was talking about Tampa Bay, right? Dynasties are good for sports. Winning 1, 2, 3 times in a row is good for sports. So to see Pete Alonso go out there and do it again would be great. And after you give your pick, we're going to flip the script. We want you to talk about somebody winning 2, 3 times in a row. We want you to talk about it, E. It's your moment to shine, dog. You got to talk about it.
That's fine. So really quick, I can't believe I'm doing this. John Scheer, I'm taking Juan Soto from the Washington Nationals as my dark horse to shock some people and win it all. So,
all right, go ahead. Talk about your girl. Go ahead.
Last year.
Hurry. Talk about your girl.
So we got about 2 minutes left, and I got to do this. This isn't even. I mean, I could make it a rant. I really could. Matter of fact, that's what I'm gonna do.
Swung on and hit in the air to deep left center.
Well, I guess there's really only one way to end the show. Welcome to another edition of Eric's Rant. As I always say, I'm just another loudmouth with an opinion. So whether you like it or not, here it goes. So we talk about dynasties. We talk about legacies. We talk about what's the encore that a team is going to do. So let's think about it like this. Last season, you go 16-16 and you barely get into the playoffs. What do? You string off a bunch of runs and you bring a championship, the very first championship, home to the Chicago Sky. Well, then what do you do as a encore presentation, as a run it back, as a what's next? Well, you have currently the best record in the entire WNBA, as you are about 2/3 of the way through the season. So what's left? Well, now you got All-Star Weekend. Coincidentally, it's being held in Chi-Town. Fabulous event. Shame that I wasn't there. Trust me, that won't happen again. But for number 14, Allie Quigley, one half of the best power couple in the entire WNBA in the VanderQuiggs. Yep, I said it, and I ain't taking it back. For her to do it not once, not twice, not 3, 4 times. Allie Quigley is the reigning, defending 4-time Mountain Dew 3-point champion and ended it by sinking all last 5 buckets. Realize this, people. She didn't even have to go to her last rack in order to win. That was an encore presentation. Allie Quigley is the best 3-point shooter ever in the game of basketball. That includes both men and women. So you know what? I'm leaving y'all with this. Anybody who feels that the VanderQuiggs, more importantly in this particular situation, Allie Quigley, who when is shooting 40% from beyond the arc just is sweet as butter, you are truly tripping. And as I always say, I ain't a hard man to find. And yes, I want all the smoke. All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here tonight. Special shout out to our man, Cortland Griffin. Make sure you tune in Wednesday night. Man, our guest, Will Vogel, is going to be joining us. We're sure we're going to talk some more WNBA because our Queen of Hoops will be joining us. So for Ray Lynn, for John Shear, Ty Ray, Mike Caratanudo, Megan Price, and our special guest, Cortland Griffin, your man, Eric Wilson, Sports Arena. Hey, y'all, we out. Peace.